Hey, foyo for dolo podcast, episode 1. Today we got some gamer dude on YouTube, aka Eric, with his newly launched KickStarter, Hyper Juken. What's up, Eric? Some gamer dude? Right. So you've got the awesome game, Hyper Juken. I've covered it, you've covered it. What day is it coming to Kickstarter?
It's already up.
Already up, so check her out. And so I've done a how to play. Game looks excellent, polished, clean, refined, complex, every good adjective I can think of. Very impressive stuff. Oh yeah. So I guess to start off, you're Australian.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. Expect Australian animals a lot in the future.
Okay. I can see that. Because because the whole game is anamorphic fighting animals. Right? So let's take it to the beginning. What got you started into gaming?
Pokemon TCG, like a lot of people our age.
Pokemon TCG? Okay.
Yep.
Because I know I was
a lot of
what'd you say?
I collect a lot of trading cards when I was very, very young. Flair NBA 94, 95 and Oddbods, that's an Australian exclusive brand. Things from like the Mortal Kombat movies, when Tarzos came out, our version of Pokemon, I collected those. But it was all collection based. Then when Pokemon TCG came out, it gradually started pushing me into games instead of just collecting cards.
Cool. So, if you don't mind, how old were you when Pokemon dropped? Because I know I was in, I think, the 9th grade.
I was 10.
10. Okay. Yeah. So I got some good years on you. Okay. So, so what games did you stick with for a while, and which did you dip your foot into and leave?
Oh, that's a long list. Well, Pokemon was obviously the start. Then it was the Score Dragon Ball Z card game, which you'll see some influences in Hyper Juken. I think someone's already told you that in the comments. Then it's Yu-Gi-Oh, like most people. Then the Duel Masters, I played that very, very heavily. That was the first game where it really became, I love this as a game. The property is really secondary. I just love playing it, and that's why I've covered it quite a bit on the channel looking back at it. I've actually gone back and played the game semi-race the last few years. Holds up really well. Even playing the Japanese current stuff, it's really good. Then it's the Naruto World CCG.
Oh yeah, that's
which actually had some influences on Hyper Juken as well. The resource system is directly inspired by the chakra system.
I can see that now. Didn't think of it before, but I can see that now.
Yeah, I played Pokemon competitively for a few years during Generation 3. Unfortunately, a really good friend, well, an old friend that was good at the time, from Brisbane came down to our Sydney cities and knocked me down from first place to third, losing that in Sydney cities back in Gen 3. But that was still a good time. It's probably the most I've ever applied myself to TCG competitively was because during Vanguard I made a lot of stupid decisions. Then I petered around. I tried out the Spoils, which I've covered. I still regard it as one of the worst games I've played. I really didn't like it. I'd love to go back to it now, but no one wants to try because I've still got the deck. I did actually try the World of Warcraft TCG. I wasn't into high fantasy at the time, but I really, really like playing it. It's just you're not into the theming. It wasn't enough to stay with it. Then I took about a year break of TCGs. I played Yu-Gi-Oh off and on. Then when Kaijudo started coming up in the States, the Duel Masters revival, I'm like, oh, I hope that comes out. And it never did here. It was US exclusive. Through that time, I heard about this CFV people kept mentioning. And then I look it up, discover Vanguard through that. And that really rekindled everything. I got really heavy into Vanguard. So, start of G era, I'd say. Played a few other revivals of things here off and on. Then it got into Force of Will, Dragon Ball Super, I tried a bit of. And then Magic I played really heavily till I started getting ready to start experimenting with card designs. But yeah, that's about it. The last few years, it's mostly just been spending time on Hyper Juken, though.
Okay. So you've had a wide breadth of games to take some influence from and everything. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, oh yeah. Right. You pretty much laid it all out there, but I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail. So, how was the gaming scene growing up in Australia exactly?
Not too many when I was really young, when I'd say about 10 to about the age of 15. The only place I really knew of that was anywhere near me or I could get to by myself was this creepy uh, place behind shops, and people touched all their cards with food in their hands. It was just a really unpleasant environment. I mean, I was younger, so I had my mum with me, and she just flat out refused to go back there. Then I went to a place in Burwood because I'm located in New South Wales, Sydney. So this place used to be called the Sydney Game Centre. It used to be the big hub in Sydney for card games, and that's where I started getting into competitive games. Unfortunately, as things started expanding over years, it's paid down because it wasn't centralised. We got places closer to me, but they really only play Magic. Further out in Sydney itself, everything just kind of faded out. And unfortunately, that Sydney Game Centre, the big hub, just closed during the COVID pandemic.
Okay.
Which feels like an end of an era thing. Even the owner from the card store closest to me used to go there back in the day.
That's terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you by any chance ever heard of that store, Midian Gaming? I just asked because they have a little presence on YouTube.
Oh, Midian Gaming, yeah, they're down Melbourne.
Okay, so that's pretty far, pretty close, or?
Different state.
Okay, different state, whole different thing. Okay, just
wondering. Yeah, I've actually been interested in contacting them because I know that they do tournaments for WWE Raw Deal. And that's a game that I've never played, never seen on the shelf, but am deeply, deeply interested in.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get some of that webcam gaming going. Probably start off with some Hyper Juken, matter of fact. But, oh yeah. Okay, so in corresponding with you over the years, through the chat or whatever, through the YouTube chat, I remember you saying that you don't get the same product that the US gets, and y'all are more taxed than we get. So could you expound upon that?
Yeah. So in Australia, well, I should say at the moment, you know how you pay about $4 plus tax for a Vanguard booster?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's about $8.50 including tax here.
That's horrible. Double the price. Man.
I don't know exactly what's causing it, but it seems to be, from my understanding, the distributor here for Japanese games in particular is kind of wonky in regards to their relationship with a few different publishers and stores. So they kind of screw up their ability to order a lot of product. So therefore, it becomes exactly what it is for me in manufacturing, that you make less, it costs more. And then they have to pass that onto the consumer. It's actually really interesting in recent years, though. The biggest stores, it's a store here called JB Hi-Fi. I think Best Buy is like an electronics store, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the closest equivalent for you. They now carry a lot of collectibles and cards because it's profitable, where DVDs and that aren't anymore. The supermarkets now stock Pokemon again for the first time in a decade, and they're reasonable prices. They're $6 Australian, which our prices are tax inclusive, like a lot of the world is. From what I understand, Japan and America are about the only places that aren't tax inclusive. And when you do all the conversions, that's about where it should be, not the 7 that it generally is.
Okay.
And then again, Vanguard's up to 8.50, which is, that's a good reason why it's basically dead here now. There's very few pockets of play.
Okay, that's sad.
Yeah, okay. It's an unfortunate thing of low population and then just not being able to shift enough product because people can only buy so much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So off the top of your head, what's your favorite TCG of all time, and what's your favorite TCG at the moment?
My favorite of all time is probably Duel Masters. It'd be an even tie between Duel Masters and Vanguard in that, but at the moment, geez, it's hard because I don't really play that much of these in Hyper Juken anymore. It's actually gotten to the position where playtesting doesn't want to play anything else between games. It's just like, no, I didn't bring my decks. We just want to play Hyper Juken.
Man.
So, yeah. But if I'd say something, in print, I'd probably go for one of the Bandai games or Yu-Gi-Oh! I really think Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets a lot of crap online that it doesn't deserve. I think it's a much better game than people give it credit for.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! All that solitaire play. I don't know, but if you say so. But that's very resounding good information that the playtesters only want to play Hyper Juken and nothing else in between. That's great. Okay, just getting to know you, but what's your favorite board game? What's your favorite video game?
I'm not a big board game person.
Okay, respectable.
I don't really play them. Video game, geez, probably something I'd go back to a lot, which would probably be something from when I was young, like Sonic 2 or Street Fighter 2.
Sonic 2. Yeah, let's see, you're a big Sonic guy. Okay, Street Fighter 2. Okay, lovely. Okay, so let's get to the
theme, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they both work. Maybe you can get a crossover one day. Hopefully soon. All right, so let's get to the real deal. So how long have you been working on Hyper Juken?
Since about, I'd say August 2016, but it didn't really start taking, August, I should say, the end of 16 was mostly just going, can we actually do this? Because I had an old playtester then. He left the project a few years, about 2020, just before everything went down. It was mostly just figuring out, can we do this? And then from about the early 17 through 18, mid-18, about August, according to my old files, because I went through them recently, was going through about 4 different engines till finding something that this has its own identity, this is fun, this has legs, this can happen, this is genuinely good. It's actually kind of funny, and I mentioned this to Ben, the one I had before what became Hyper Juken played a lot like Flesh and Blood.
Wow.
It had that every card had a combat value type thing. It's just you could only block with one card, not multiple, how Flesh and Blood works. That's probably why I was so harsh on Flesh and Blood, because because you pointed this out, you're the only other person that's pointed out that it does feel a bit like UFS, which I have touched on at times. I've touched on that one about 3 different times, trying to force myself to like it.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a really bad rap, but, I mean, what do you do?
My Hero Academia one's on clearance here now.
Yeah, I mean, it just, people just don't like the mechanics for whatever reason. Kind of complicated. And what do you do?
Oh, jeez, what was the topic again?
The
story of Hyper Juken. So, the third one played a lot like Flesh and Blood. That was probably a contributing factor as to why I was so harsh on Flesh and Blood, because I was really hoping they'd take those ideas that I scrapped and make something I thought was genuinely good about it. And after I tried it out, I was like, wow, this is every reason I dropped this very similar engine. It's like, I guess that I was just hoping it to be a finished version of what I was trying to do.
Okay. So you're talking about the pitch mechanic and everything like that, and the blocking and
the attack and block mechanics in it. How you discard a card to prevent that much damage from the attack.
Okay, respectable. So any other iterations you care to talk about right now?
The first 2 are very, very derivative of other games. Nothing I really want to talk about, because the YouTube, you might not know him, the YouTuber Awesome Card Games.
Man, I've been trying to look for him. Can't find him for some reason.
Yeah, I'll give you a link later. I gave him a demo a long, long time ago, and he was like, wow, this is really too derivative. Even with things changed, it just didn't have enough of its own thing.
Okay.
And that became a really prominent sticking point with me, having your own identity, not wearing your influences on your sleeve.
Okay. I mean, you ended up in a great spot, so glad it got to go through all of that testing and everything. Okay.
Actually, you know the card I gave you, the delayed backhand chop,
Oh, yeah.
the one you had as preview? Yeah, it was actually kind of funny, a story with that one. Playtesting was asking me before I showed that card off if I would do something like that, if I'd have effects in the keyboard, and I'm like, here it is. I already made it.
Nice. I think that's the next video that I've got lined up to drop, I believe. But yeah.
I know you've already got it out.
Okay.
I'm subscribed to you, I remember.
Got the Tai Chi card coming next. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. So what all difficulties did you run into with designing and testing Hyper Juken?
Well, I'm actually making a video about this. Elatona was actually the third character for Blue.
Okay.
Blue had a ton of problems fine-tuning it to make it not... Basically... Okay, so you know how Elatona is kind of marketed as everlasting life?
Yes.
In original versions of it, yeah, that was quite literal. He was too hard to beat through.
Okay.
Actually, interesting story there. The original deck size was 60.
Okay,
when I took it to my current playtesting group, they said that they liked half decks more, which were 30, of course. And then it just became a position of, well, if you like the pacing of 30, and yeah, 40 is a nice round number. It gives you enough space that things don't go too fast, don't go too slow. That's just kind of where it settled. And it became a really great number for making decks because it can just be 10 cards at 4 copies each. Just plays out well.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, Blue gave us a lot of hell trying to make it work, but not be unkillable, for lack of a better term. Taichi took a lot of refinement because early on it felt like he was doing a whole lot but not getting any payoff for it. That's why you see Sniper Beam, the card that can't be blocked by blocks that share a name with a card in your opponent's remove pile. Okay. Because it was felt that he needed payoff. That's his signature tactic, the buff, the Demon of the Wind and the Demon Wind / his Hyper Attack both came much later than he did to help capitalize off his skills. Lucy gave me no grief. She was fine from day one. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Okay. So for those who don't know, in the game we've got red, yellow, and blue archetypes. And are they always going to be every block that comes out is going to be the red, yellow, and blue?
Technically, yes. Sort of no.
Okay.
So I'll spell the beans here. The reason that it's red, yellow, and blue is because of the color wheel, right?
Okay.
So if you make Lucy's red, you have to have one red card. Your other one's going to be blue if you went into blue. You just got purple with that combination, didn't you?
You got purple, okay.
And those colors will get support in set 3.
Nice.
But they have a little caveat where the cards in the corner, like there's blue, purple, orange, and green cards are for set 3. I won't spoil which one comes with which, though.
Okay.
Your other 2 cards in your corner have to be red and blue. So, say Lucy has the purple card, her other card has to be blue. And this will also give her access to purple cards in her arsenal. But she can also run purple cards in her arsenal if she has a red and blue card in a corner. Okay. There's a lot of deck building restrictions. I really like that position. That was actually another thing. Keeping characters different and not letting them have access to things that would break them was a big thing in testing because Mark, for set 2, I tested him out ages upon ages ago. His hyper form, because I don't know how prevalent this knowledge is, but I designed each character twice when I'm first designing them. So Lucy does have her hyper fighter and her hyper attack. It's just I'm keeping the the hyper attack back until we come back to her, so that when we come back to her, she'll offer something new.
Okay, so does everybody have a hyper fighter form and a hyper attack?
They are designed with them. The hyper fighters started in the design first. Hyper attack came much, much later because I experimented with. I really like the idea of a big finisher blow. I was getting into wrestling at this time.
Sounds like
I was really starting to like the idea of finishers from that. And I'm like, I want to expect this. Originally, it was going to be something like a card in exchange for the card you get a finisher. And I thought, no, I want it to be part of the fighter. And honestly, if I did Hyper Juken today, I probably wouldn't have the Hyper Fighter form. I'd probably just have the Hyper Attacks because I'll be honest, from my perspective, I actually enjoy them a little bit more.
Gotta try them hands on myself, but I mean, it's good to have variety both ways. What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah, it actually does help in the long run because, the Carter system does help with this, but each fighter having two versions, even if one isn't viable at that point in time, hopefully the other one is, and then everyone, regardless of who their favorite character is, they'll have a viable version of it. And that's really important to me to have. Not everyone's going to be tier 1 or tier 0 or whatever. That's just reality. Not everyone's going to be equal in terms of execution, but as long as everyone's viable and it's not like, oh wow, this deck is complete trash and this character is entirely unplayable, I think I've achieved something there.
Oh yeah, you've definitely achieved some greatness so far. So, you've already touched on this, but if you don't mind expounding a little bit more, so what were your major inspirations for Hyper Juken?
Well, as I've said, inspired by the old Dragon Balls CCG. Someone pointed this out in your comments, and I'm like, yeah, people are going to notice it. It's actually very different despite the similarities. The only real thing that stuck around was the Hyper system is inspired by the Anger system. It's a very different execution, though, because it's meant to be a reward instead of a given. That's why Lucy reduces it to 6, because it's kind of a side reference to Anger being 5. But at one point in development, there was going to be a stock system to the Hyper, but it was very, very hard to execute, stock being lots of 3.
Stock like Gauge, you mean?
Yeah, like in a fighting game, Super.
Okay.
That's actually how the game got its name. It's like, because at one point the Hyper was going to be called Adrenaline, because derivativeness. But as it evolved and started finding itself, it was like, and especially with the Hyper attacks, it became a case of, wow, this is really like a super meta in a fighting game. It's like, what's a cool word for that that's not like Super Street Fighter? Okay, Hyper. And then it became, what's the name of the game? Well, I'd already settled on Juken because I really like the idea of, what's it called? The Japanese version of Power Rangers Jungle Fury. I like the name. Juken Sensei Geki Ranger, I think it is, offhand. I don't have it in front of me. But Juken meaning Beast Fist. It's the same root words as Tekken. So,
okay.
Tekken means Iron Fist.
Okay.
The Ken part at the end is fist.
Okay, got that Ken.
Yeah,
okay.
So through development, the Duel Masters was obviously a big influence as the streamline that ideal, because I thought Vanguard too, because I think both are really good at that, especially current Vanguard. I really like where D went with that.
All very elegant, yes.
Yeah, as I said, the resource system is inspired by Naruto CCG, which, as I said, I did play a little bit of. I actually didn't remember it when I went back to it. It's one of the few games I actually forgot the rule set. But when I was looking it up, and I'm like, oh, wow, that would actually fit. That would actually help keep the pacing I wanted. Because keeping players from just going hog with level 2 attack, well, the level system wasn't there, but hard-hitting attacks was really important to me. I didn't want everyone just going, well, why not just go with the hardest attacks? I wanted an ebb and flow. After that, as I got into wrestling, you'll start noticing this with Set 2. A lot of the cards start taking the fighters in particular, start taking influences from how Raw Deal works searching for specific cards, mentioning specific types. The card types actually came back about later in development, inspired by both UFS and Raw Deal. Originally, it was just attack cards without a subtype, and I'm like, I could probably play with that if we differentiated them. And later on, it's probably not going to happen now because blocks are limited to 12 per deck. But if blocking became an issue, I could have made blocks only block specific attacks. But on that topic, set 5 spoiler, and I think set 3, I don't have it in front of me, but there's blocks that their effects only work against specific attack types. Like Bob, the character for set 5, it's a cane toad. You'll see his gimmick in set 2. He's got a block in there that only works it blocks anything, but the effect only works against punches and kicks and chains into another card.
Punches and kicks, no throws.
Oh, he chains into his own throw.
Okay. Interesting. What's stopping you from allowing a character card from saying that they can include 20 blocks in the arsenal?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mostly just keeping the game dynamic and moving at a good speed and not allowing it to basically become what in Dragon Ball was known as stasis, where it became a matter of just turtling until war of attrition in the game went too long. Okay. I tried to avoid a lot of the problems that game UFS and Raw Deal all had. That was a big goal, to not fall into their exact same traps, learn from their mistakes, and build something better. Because all of these games in their own way are good games. It's just that, honestly, they make a lot of mistakes. And from my own experience with others, they push people away. Because I don't know if you've experienced this with UFS yourself. A lot of people don't. UFS is one of those games where you learn the rules, you learn how to play the different things. They're completely independent of each other. And a lot of people, they fully understand the rules, but then they go to play it and they don't get it.
Yeah, pretty convoluted, but but Hyper Juken does not seem to have that problem.
I've gotten people completely fresh to TCGs up to speed in a half an hour. I've gotten people not familiar with this type of games and parroting Codocs, I hate life decks, up to speed in a couple of games. And the fact that they only lost by 15 cards, because that's was a big thing with getting these 3 decks playing well together to try to stop any blowouts, made it that much sweeter for them. Because it's not a big loss, it doesn't feel bad.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this sounds like excellent work. And again, since 2016, not like a lot of these other overnight games that are coming out. So, this is a really quality, tested, excellent product we're getting here. Okay.
One thing I should say on quality, I don't think I've mentioned this anywhere. I might have, but I don't remember. No, I mentioned it in the video about the samples. All the cards will be on 350 GSM card stock, except the metallic cards, because they don't come on that card stock. So all the cards for your arsenal, the ones you'll be touching a lot, they're really high quality, like Force of Will. So exact same thickness.
Force of Will had the most excellent of quality. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going all deep and everything, but if you don't mind giving the people like a quick 1 minute or 2 minute pitch of the game overall.
Okay, so Hyper Juken is a martial arts themed card game where you and your opponent, I've repeated this so many times, where you and your opponent trade punches, kicks, and grapples and specials and try to get the opponent down and fizzle out their deck to see who will be victorious and become the cosmic champion of Hyper Juken, which is our version of the Universal Championship. You can either have a fighter that has a hyper attack, which is a big finishing blow, or a fighter with hyper form, which is a super powered form like from an anime, and it's made to feel good. It's made to be very, very fair and balanced with a lot of feels good experiences. It's made to be highly customizable, and most importantly, it's made to not break your budget.
Nice, excellent. Okay. So I know you just gave me a rundown, but
Yep.
simply the gameplay. Could you describe the gameplay concisely, but in a little bit more detail?
Okay, so you open your turn by looking at the top 4 cards of your deck, your arsenal, I should say. You whatever you want, leave it on top. The rest you put it on the bottom. So for Magic terms, scry 4. Then you draw your hand Draw your hand till you have 4 cards in your hand. It's not draw 4 cards. It's draw till you have 4. Then you can use any cards with setup effects. So that happen now. You can also set tactics face down to use them later, and you can decide whether you want to start hitting the opponent or not. If you want to initiate combat, you pull your fighter down to reveal aggressor on your fighter's tool. Your opponent draws cards till they have 4 cards in their hand. Then you can start attacking or using act effects by paying the key cost of your attack, which is its level, by sending that many cards from your key pool to your exhaust. Your opponent then gets a chance to block it. If they block it, nothing happens except for the block. Your opponent's block is sent to their exhaust, which is their discard pole. Your attack is sent to your key pool, which is your resources. If it hits, your opponent now is inflicted with combat damage equal to the attack's power, which is... Thanks. Inflicted with that much combat damage equal to the power of the attack, and that many cards are sent from the top of your opponent's arsenal to their exhaust. If they reveal a breaker card as combat damage, they use the BRKR or breaker effect, and then it is usually removed from the game, though later cards won't. And anyone pointing this out from Dragon Ball, why it doesn't have an endurance number like Dragon Ball, it's because breaker cards are actually different as the game goes on. Set 4 and 5, or 5, I forget which one right now, in particular, works very differently. It's future-proofing. This goes back and forth. After your attack or act effect resolves, your opponent gets to perform an attack or use an act effect. This goes back and forth till both players pass, then your turn's end. Your assist being the aggressor, and your opponent's turn starts. At the end of turn, both players can put any cards they don't want from their hand on the bottom of their arsenal.
Sounds like some real fun stuff. Okay. So, of course, watch the videos we have up, and that'll get you right up to speed. Less than 30 minutes for new card gamers, even. All right. So, in the comments, not to get too weird, it's a segue, but someone suggested the furry scene. Any further follow-up developments on possibly exploring that avenue?
Oh boy, that really depends on what you mean by furry, doesn't it?
Furries. You know what I'm talking about, them furries. The PG and the other way.
Every character is pure and not for sexy.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I try to stay away from stuff that's inappropriate for kids. I think it's a game you could really share with your kids, so that's an important factor. So I try to keep everything appropriate. That's also why you'll never see blood on it either.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. No. I mean, if you like stuff like Ninja Turtles or Sonic or that type of stuff, it's probably around that mark.
Okay. So no Mortal Kombat crossover is coming anytime soon.
No.
Okay. Okay, so you've got your company, Savage Shih Tzu. Do you happen to have any other games maybe in the works to be released?
We have a design for a game that's takes influences from Magic, Force of Will, Duel Masters, and all that. It's actually through engine testing. It's got a lot of promise. It works perfectly fine. It's just a matter of no time for it at the moment. It's just being left by the wayside. There's another game that I've got in conceptual phase that you're familiar with Metabots?
Yes.
Okay, so it works a bit like how that works in terms of you have a core and then build around it to build the parts, but it's more like making chimeras.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll go anywhere. It's early days. Might just be like something spitball, doesn't go anywhere. But the Magic type game, maybe the market's too filled for it to even happen. It doesn't really differentiate from, well, look at Bandai. They're releasing that One Piece card game. And from what I've been told, it's very, very much like Bandai's trying to capitalize on how popular Dragon Ball Super is outside of Japan by making a One Piece version of it in Japan, then releasing it internationally, which I really don't get, because as far as the properties that they have the master license for, I would think Naruto would have been a better one for international audiences.
But it's over. Nobody's got time for that right now. But yeah. But the Wizard game, because you've seen my old video on game types, right? Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Wizard game's perfectly fine. It's got concepts. It's already set up to release the exact same way as Hyper Juken with 3 decks. It's just a matter of there's no time for development for it. Not when every Hyper Juken needs so much attention now. Okay. If it came out, it probably wouldn't come out till 2024 at the earliest.
Okay. But I'm sure once Hyper Juken takes off like grease lightning, then you can bring some more people on board to help develop it or whatever.
Yeah, I need help.
Oh, yeah.
It is hard doing everything by yourself. That's something I don't think is really appreciated by a lot of people in the gamer position, how much work goes behind a card game. Especially if you genuinely care about the outcome, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
As I was saying in that series, you can't think of it, oh, this is a fun hobby. No, it's work.
A lot of work. Yeah, I'm trying to make some cards myself. It's a lot of work. All right. So in such a crowded TCG, Kickstarter, Gold Rush boom, new golden era, how do you plan to stand out above the crowd? Shout out to Powerline from Goofy Movie.
Well, I think the character designs and the angle with the anthropomorphic animals helps with that a lot. I think not being yet another Magic the Gathering type game helps with that a lot. I think the price points, which has been noted by quite a few people, is very appealing. And as you said, being an actually well-crafted game. I think if more people tried the demo and then tried to start envisioning how the actual cards were revealed, go with that, it would help a lot. That's also why I showed set 2, because going back to the character designs being popular, all of us behind the game, playtesting, myself, family, artist, we all expected Lucy to be the most popular character.
Okay.
It hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened?
We've actually experienced Elatono being the most popular character.
That's what I'm thinking. Elatono was pretty cool. But, I mean, Lucy's cool. But, maybe once people get their hands on it, the masses, I'll maybe do see it flipping to Lucy. But, I mean, it's kind of maybe a 50-50 thing for me.
I think it's more the principles of toy design. I think it's maybe because of the subject matter, it appeals more to males, and then a masculine male like Elatono is more inspirational. It's more relatable in a way. And as a friend of mine on Discord said, Luchador is cool, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually capitalizing on that. Character in set 6 isn't working out, so replacing him with another Luchador character.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Okay. So, speaking of the price points, what kind of price points are we looking at for Hyper Juken?
75 Australian for the 3 decks, which here is a really good buy because decks are usually about the 25 mark here. So 25 times 3, 75. But recently, because of how things, Pokemon's gone up to like $30 a starter deck now.
Okay. So
here's... Have they gone up in your direction?
Man, I mean, depends on what deck, but you're talking starter deck, probably over here, 10, 15, probably 15 new.
Yeah, that went up $5-10 here, depending on where you buy them.
Crazy. Okay. So you're saying like stateside, what kind of numbers are we looking at in the U.S.?
From what I've been told from friends, 75 Australian comes out to about $50 US.
Okay, not bad at all. Three perfectly solid, great tune decks. Great environment
60,
for
69 foils between the three of them, 60 of them full art.
Oh yeah, nice. Great variety, great everything, and then set you right up for set 2, block 2. Cool. Okay.
And you can play it out of the box. So if you just want it like a board game, it can do that. If you want to go constructed, you can go that. It honestly, the way it turned out, both from the way constructed plays and the way the product itself plays, it really is get it, play with it however you like.
Oh yeah. Great variety is what I see.
Speaking of variety, that's something we're also aiming for with the characters, trying to keep all the characters diverse so everyone gets something that they really resonate with.
Oh yeah, I can see that so far. Great characters so far.
You've seen the set 2 characters on the Kickstarter, haven't you?
Yes, we've got we're at liberty to talk about them right now.
Oh yeah, they're public knowledge now.
Okay. We got a nice bee. We got a nice man. I mean, who else we got?
It's D. Stinger the Wasp, who has a tokusatsu theme. Bit of Kamen Rider, bit of Power Rangers, bit of our own design. I actually do most of the character design myself and work with the artist to polish it up. Elatono's mask is actually exactly as I designed it.
Nice.
Lucy's pretty much exactly as I designed it, except my Lucy was a bit chunkier.
Lucy.
Taichi was mostly the artist's work. We have Mark the Bear, who has been very, very popular. I already can tell you, we've discussed this in the comments. His hyper attack is by far the strongest around.
Okay.
If it makes contact, it's probably going to win you the game. But because of the way the game goes, it's a bit easier to stop it from happening. But if it hits, it's probably just game over.
Okay.
And then we have Louise the Cockatiel, who is based on another one of my pets, like Lucy is.
Okay. Nice.
And she's got a theme based around blocking, which she'll fit more in with the Block 2's B1 and B6 decks. You'll get a lot to customize there, but she works perfectly fine in Alpha Block. A lot of fun. Hard to play, genuinely hard to play at times. We had to alter a lot to simplify her and give her some tools that she wasn't meant to have, but had to have to make it easier to play for other people, because it became a position of I was basically the only one that could pilot her out of the box. But she's got the art design and art direction gets much, much stronger in set 2. She benefits from it a lot. The cards that you've seen of her, wait till you see her fighter card, her hyper fighter form, and set 2 brings signature attacks. Sets 1, A1, A2, and A3 give different types of signature cards. A1 has the signature buffs, A2 has the signature attacks, A3 has signature tactics.
Tactics, okay.
These ones don't become buffs, though. Her art direction makes her really pop. We've already experienced Mark being by far the most popular character from set 2. Women especially love him. That's been a really interesting thing. That's been the one that's getting them on board. But yeah, I've showed off the A2 characters to a few people, and the reason they actually in the Kickstarter, not only Ben said that I probably should be more direct in where the game goes, but I have experienced people that aren't terribly keen on anything from A1 going, oh, I really like that from A2. So show them early, basically say, if the game's successful, this is what you're getting next set. You might want to invest in the first set to help the next set happen.
Yeah, have you thought of including any kind of early promotional material boxed in with the first set?
Such as?
Just maybe a flyer, anything like that, you know? Flyer, anything. Just kind of showing off set 2, you know?
Oh, the backs of the Fighters Tool cards will have a preview to that color, that character of that color for the next set, each set. So on the back of Lucy's one, it'll basically have an advertisement for Mark. On the back of Elatono's, it'll have an advertisement for Louise, and on the back of Taichi's, it'll have an advertisement for D-Stinger, and then in their own set, it'll be for the next set, and then so on and so forth.
Okay.
So I want to show people, it's set 2's, well, the next set, I should say, is coming. This is what you're getting. And hopefully with set 3, or set 2, I should say, the way I wanted to do it is, when I don't want to show it online, I want it to be so that when you get it, it's a surprise. So you get the box, you open up, oh, that's the character for the next set.
Nice. Okay, so real quick, you mentioned that Lucy was initially intended to be a little bit more chunky. Do you happen to want to include a lot of body positivity, in future sets?
It really depends. Well, I should point this out. The artist is a woman, and she was the one who made it thinner, tried to make her more cutesy. As far as that type of thing concerned, it's more what suits the animal as well. Like set 5, we have a black rhino. She's, of course, going to be a bigger girl because it's a rhino. They're big animals. It really depends on what the animal is as to where they get placed in the light, medium, heavy. Does it make sense within context?
Okay, good to see some inclusivity. Okay, speaking on the animation and everything, the animator. So if the funds got right, how much do you think it would take to get some rudimentary animation, cartoons type anime things put up online or something? Just throwing it out there.
Oh, I wouldn't know the foggiest about it.
Okay.
It'd have to be something I'd investigate. Honestly, at this point, given how everything is, I think the easiest thing to do would probably be some type of either picture book or comic book.
Okay.
Just like 4-panel things would probably be easier. Everything about Hyper Juken is baby steps, get it there.
Okay. Yep, I'm very impressed with what you got so far, but looking for that comic storybook in KickStarter 2 though. Okay. So what are the print run numbers, and what do you think what do you think that you'll need to be successful?
Okay, so the Kickstarter pays for a 500 box print run, so there will only be 500 printed if we just get over the line. If it's, I don't have the exact numbers on me, but just trying to do maths in my brain. Probably get past 80,000. It gets up to 1,000 print run because we'll have to print that many to cover how many people have bought them. Everything will be very close to how much is bought because, as I mentioned on the Fight for the Future post on the website, I too don't want products sitting around. I don't have a warehouse. It's a matter of get it out the door as fast as possible to make so not inundated with stock just sitting around. If it gets past 2,000 for set 1, which I'm not certain how likely that is, but fingers crossed, that's likely the position when I would go to a distributor because I'd need someone else to handle distribution for me.
Okay.
The sales figures are there. As far as the future goes, as long as it's selling enough to continue, which is about 400 units in a reasonable time, it can stick to 500 print runs. After that, 1,000, that's when it can start having more money allocated to try to help it grow because it's actually producing enough to invest money back into it. 2,000, it's basically all gravy. We can do basically anything.
Okay, so we're shooting for at least 2,000. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so what kind of perks are we looking at for us collectors?
Okay, so the way Hyper Juken works, and it was always intended to work, was for multiple purchases to be driven by the full arts. The first run is going to be full art stamped, and I haven't mentioned this on the website. I'm actually going to be posting it soon. No set is going to be reprinted unless there is a very good reason to. So let's say set 1 only sells 500. Then pre-orders for set 2 goes up to 1,500, right?
Okay.
Then there's enough individual orders and that to go, oh, we've actually expanded the base. That's when an unlimited run for set 1 would happen. Otherwise, it's not going to sell enough to people that don't have it. But as far as bringing back older cards, if we just like steadily grow, it's more. I know I'm not answering the question. I'll get to that in a second. Because this is tangentially related anyway. It's going to be more about mixing old cards into new to try to give people, say, in your position that's already bought set 1, a reason to buy a set with a few cards they already have. So let's say we reprint set 1's characters because there's a demand for the characters, but there's not really enough demand to reprint set 1 as is. We'd probably change up the cards, change up a few cards in each deck. So the characters get reissued, a few of the cards get reissued, but there's enough new to cater for everyone. So back to your collector question. At the moment, it's focusing on promos for that. The promos are basically being made to order. And I want them to be cool, like the metal, metallic foiling, the hot stamping. I want them to be something that the cards in the normal sets don't have to make you go, ooh, that's really cool. I wouldn't mind that. And because they're going to be much, much more limited, like let's say that everyone bought only one of set 1. It only sold 500 copies. The stamped cards, there'd only be 500, and then you divide it by how many of each person, how many of each version was ordered, because it's going to be 3 different ones. They're going to have a collectible note to them because there's not going to be many around. You had to buy to get them. You only got one. It's desirable. A key core belief of mine is that, and this was going to be the case if TCG version of Hyper Juken was even feasible, but I want everyone to be able to play regardless of their monetary status in life. However, if you want them to be all pretty and sparkly, yeah, that's when you got to pay for it. I don't think people should be basically barred from playing, period, because that's in a lot of cases what expensive cards do. They bar people from playing just because rarity or whatnot. Because you'll follow the channel for a long time. You'll probably know that the original intent was the commons to be full frame and the chase cards to be full art foil.
Oh, yeah. I remember when everything was going to be grayscale for the commons, yeah. Kind of glad we got away from that, but But whatever works, though. Okay. So, got different perks for the collectors, though. Okay. So, overall, where do you see...
Is the mats, if we get up there, I'll be producing a mat that's only 100 copies.
Okay, just 100 copies, okay. So, I mean, get them while the getting's good. They're going like hotcakes. Okay, so where do you see Hyper Juken in 5 years yourself?
It really depends on how the Kickstarter goes, but if everything lines up well, hopefully in a position where it's distributed enough that by actual distributors, it's just a matter of me sending the files to China. They send the boxes to the distributor. You can walk in and pick up whichever of the 3 decks you like. The game's producing so much that we don't have to sell them as 3 decks together because of cost reasons. We can actually break them up. And yeah, a lot of people have actually really liked the idea of it just being the decks, selling it more like a toy. And I'm not even sure if moving from the decks to a full TCG is even a desirable thing right now. It really be a case of how do people want to consume it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we gotta wait on this Kickstarter and see how it does. I mean, everything's looking pretty good so far. Everything's looking well. So I see you got a $8,000 pledge that you want to reach right now, right?
Yeah, that's 8,000 US. It's 12,000 Australian.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll get there very soon. Very soon. Okay. Um. Okay. So there goes our A2 block characters right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And set three is named
set three
the
is named.
characters,
Okay.
so you can see what they are.
Okay. Yep. We got the Blizzard Empress. We got Nagpal the Cobra, Satria the Komodo Dragon for red, and Snowy the Cat for yellow. Okay.
Yeah, I try to name a lot of the wild animals like they would have names in a zoo. So
Nice,
you'll
nice,
notice
nice.
in zoos a lot they give them names from the region of the world they come from.
Nice,
So
nice.
that's what I try to do with that. And with the domestic animals, well, if they're inspired by my own pets, that's the type of name I give them. Otherwise, I try to pick names that that type of animal generally gets as a pet because I think, hey, if, so the Chihuahua character that I want to do for the Lucha one, if you have a Chihuahua, I'd like you to be able to go, oh, that's exactly like my pet, and it helps build that bond.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So we've pretty much already covered this, but what empty space in the market would you say that Hyper Juken will fill?
Well, the way things are at the moment, I think uh, a game that's affordable to play for most people because, well, the inflation problems at the moment. Uh, Hyper Juken's going to be a lot more affordable than most TCGs. Nothing like it visually on the market. And the only thing comparative to it in terms of mechanics is Flesh and Blood, which is an extremely different game.
True indeed.
So it's carving out its own niche of a very easy to pick up and play a fighting game with likable cartoon characters that can appeal to all ages.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So we also come from a Force of Will background, and that
Yeah.
game has had a few pitfalls, and Magic lately, more bans than ever. So, what do you? How do you seek to avoid all of those pitfalls for the naysayers?
Uh, well, I can tell you this right now. I go back to designs after I've finished and rework them. I look at them with fresh eyes a few months later and then think, oh, can I fix anything? Is this going to be a problem with what I'm designing now? Uh, Currently, I'm actually going back and fixing up A3. It had actually been finished, in big quotation marks, about 4 months ago. I'm going back to it and fixing up some things because I knew that about 10 of the cards in there could be better. I try to make every deck, well, I should say set, play well as a set. The way things are working out, I'm going back to set 4 and 5 in a very similar manner because I'm bouncing between sets. Because I'm so far ahead, I can actually, and because there's not a lot of bureaucracy because it's a solo mission, I can actually go back and edit cards before you get them, knowing what they'll interact with a year later.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like Elaturno, right? I don't know who I gave the control for him. If it was you or some card games. Anyway, he's got this card called the Equalizer, right?
Okay.
It's a level 2 attack. Its attack effect is to just neutralize a non-debuff card on the board. So set cards, buffs, and anything else later on that might be on the board. Originally, it hit anything on the board, anything in play. We figured out in set 2 and 3 that this was horribly broken. Blue could basically answer everything by itself. So we went back and fixed it. And that's something that I have the capability to do. And also because the sets are small for the moment, it's really easy to manage card design like that.
Right.
Everything can be fine-tuned. Problems can be gotten rid of. Like set 2 also had a card that I didn't want it interacting with certain cards in set 3, I could go back now, because it's nowhere near print, and fix it up so it's worded in such a way that it won't interact with those cards and then cause a loop problem.
Nice. Okay, so if you care to share with the people, you say you've got about how many sets in development right now?
Okay, so set 1 and 2 are officially finished. Set 2's artwork is down to the last 3 or so cards. It won't release till 4 months after set 1 ships out. It'll be 4 months between sets. Set 3 is now going back for some refinement. Characters basically are getting ready to be designed. Set 4 is in a very similar position where it's being edited into its final positions. It's played out a bit. We understand the new mechanics quite well. Set 5 and 6 are mostly designed, a little bit tested. It's still just getting it there. But the red deck for set 5 is actually finished, which came together really fast. I don't think it even needed any editing because it was off the bat really well done. And sets 7 through 9 are basically conceptualized. A lot of those will depend on what's popular and what's not from sets 1 through 6, because sorry, dry throat. Because the intent is for sets 7 through 9 to introduce one new character per set, but bring back the most popular character per color and the least popular character per color. One, most popular because they're liked, least popular because it'll give them a chance to impress a second time. And if they don't, then, well, maybe it's a time to retire them. It would depend. Might use them less. The second block's concepts, and I should say, block in the same way Dragon Ball Super does it, but how they have the block is more a large group of smaller blocks. So the second, I should say, 10 through 18, new mechanics will be brought in that being conceptualized right now. Still got to try them out and test them, but it's a long way off. And then 19 through 27 is about as far as I've planned ahead. So, yeah, 27 is planned out. I know the mechanic. I've had it on board for a very, very long time, and I can't wait to try it.
Okay, so you're saying set 19 through 27?
Yeah, that'll be the third big mechanic introduction.
Okay. Yeah, so you heard it here. 19 through 27 set. So this is no fly-by-night thing. This is here for the long haul. So show some support. Hyper Juken, the KickStarter is live right now. We have hit that magical hour mark.
Oh, jeez, we've been talking an hour.
An hour. So
because I'm gonna go out tonight myself.
Oh yeah. All right. So we've touched on a lot. Anything else you want to tell the people?
Well, I think the most important thing is Hyper Juken means a lot to me. It's something I've packed a lot of time, sweat, tears, and love and crying into.
Since 2016.
There's been a lot of times where it's just like, it's a case of, is this really worth it? But you plow through because you really do believe in it. I think one thing I can really promise everyone is I will always try my hardest not to let you down. I'll always take the time to listen to you. Even if I don't agree with your opinion, I'll try to explain why things are the way they are, why they had to be done the way they were done. Whether I think there is an answer to whatever problem you've got. And if there is a genuine problem, I'll try to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Being in the position I am, I'm a lot closer to where Jeff was with Force of Will, or earlier, what was his name? Jordan, where you can get more of a personal touch.
Very respectable, very, very admirable. Okay, man, everything sounds real good. We just need the people to show up, and then we can get set after set after set of excellent gameplay. So again,
I should mention one last thing. After we hit that 2,000 mark, if distributors aren't really interested to let kids high numbers, one thing I do want to help people where there will be enough help of money there to help people by producing promo packages for locals. So say you wanted to hold locals for Hyper Juken and the store really wasn't interested, I can help you with that.
Nice.
I can get you that prize support.
Okay. Got to get that local scene built. That's how we're going to get the word out there. Okay. So, and then do you care to drop your socials and everything?
Oh, I don't know them off by heart. On Facebook, Discord, not Discord, Facebook, Reddit, not Reddit, oh, jeez. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, not Twitter. Facebook and Instagram, just search up Hyper Juken. On Instagram, it's got a underscore between Hyper and Juken. You'll find it there. On Twitter, it's a She Games, SHIH Games. If you go to the savageusergames.com website, you'll find all the socials down the bottom. If you go to any of the YouTube videos posted recently on the official Hyper Juken YouTube channel, you'll find all the socials and the Discord posted there. So you can come, you can talk to me. Discord is going to be the easiest place to find me. And unless I'm asleep because of time zone reasons, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Cool. All right, so yeah, everything sounds great. Hit him up on his various socials. Show up to that Kickstarter. I know I will. And it's been Foyo Games with some gamer dude, Hyper Juken. I think we're signing out. I guess.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for showing up. And I guess we're gonna peace out. Y'all have a good one.